Alrighty. Hello, everyone. This is Setup, and I'm here representing the Thematics division. And today I'm gonna kick off our first seminar. Um, First, and hopefully, a long line of seminars to help you guys out. Um, so I've got a few topics today, um, and if anyone has any questions, I'm watching Twitch chat, so uh, send them in there. I have this as close to real time as possible, so I'm gonna get this information as soon as you give it to me. So I got kind of two things to talk about today. Um, we're talking about thematics division primarily because we want to make sure that we make sure that GMs know what we can do and what we're there for. Um, because people, it can be kind of arcane to figure out, you know, what everyone does on the Runnerhub, especially because of technology updates as we go through. We've gone through the new wiki. We're still finding things pointing back to the old wiki, all that kind of stuff. So I'm here to kind of cut down on that kind of obfuscation, and as well talk about how we're trying to give you guys more resources in order for you to have an easier time on the hub GMing. Because we all know that Shadowrun, as is, can be a pain in the ass. Pain in the hoop to run. Um, and that's just at the rules level. At the thematics level, you've got layers upon layers upon layers of books from decades ago that kind of really influence how you might run something today, and you might not even know what the book is called. Um, so, starting out though, Runnerhub's birthday is coming up. Runnerhub will be turning 4 in September, um, and as part of that, we're kind of trying to work on several goals. I'm going to talk about those later, but yeah, I'm excited for that. So, um, to start things off, Thematics Division, what is our purpose? Well, we've got three main purposes in our charter. We protect the hub's lore, we moderate GMP, so we are the source of all your happiness. uh, and also, last but not least, correct and enforce. So I'm going to start off with protecting the hub's lore. And this is kind of two parts. First part is whenever there's a new Catalyst release, we go through it, we decide what is appropriate for the Runnerhub and what is not. And generally, we look at not just like what we think is like not dumb, obviously, but we try to make sure that the stuff fits in with a living world that we can interact with and play with, and it's not going to cause players and GMs heartache to run something. Um, so, for example, we don't allow CFD. The general events surrounding it happen in the background, but we generally don't um, allow CFD on tables because infecting a character like that kind of it kills their agency. I mean, if somebody wants to do that, that's fine, but like we try to avoid those kinds of things unless it's a consequence. um, so not just so we filter out things that are inappropriate for the living world or sometimes the done things. like the Book of the Lost. But also in protecting the hub's lore, we're trying to help GMs create new stories. Part of the Runner Hub's canon uh, diverges from what is official in Shadowrun. For example, the mayor, Harlan Mitzi, Mitzi Harlan rather. Um, she was totally a result of a Runner Hub. Um, ooh, oh, I'm gonna turn myself up a little bit. Sorry, guys. Okay. Um, I lost my train of thought. But she was a result of the Runner Hub metaplot. Um, uh, Geifs. The current Runner Hub metaplot is the Redmond Restoration Act. It's been ongoing for about a year now, and it's in the stages of wrapping up. Can you guys hear me better now? I'm gonna keep going, but those are the two things when it comes to just the. All right, good. When it comes to the lore, that's what we look for. So GMP, obviously, that's the corp script we hand out to all of you lovely GMs. We control the policy on what gets handed out. Um, so we do take a look at this policy from time to time. We do like check to see if this is appropriate for everything that we've got going on, and if we could change it to be better. And as part of some of our goals, we're looking at GMP in general. We've been throwing around some ideas. It shouldn't change too much, if at all. But we are looking at what we have and seeing what we need to change. Um, and finally, we correct and enforce. So, what that means is when something happens on the table, inappropriate usage of lore, um, inappropriate interactions with players, failing to kind of tell people correctly what's going on. We kind of start looking into that. We do have a policy on this. It's not just random. We have a 3 strikes and you're out rule. I'm not sure if we have had to issue 3 strikes within any recent memory of mine. But yeah, we start with a warning. So it's not just 3 strikes, but this is how we go through when we find something that we find to be abusive, exclusionary, lore unfriendly, or deviant. First, we go through your AAR. We go through, we go through and we find, our issues. We identify them. We write that up. If we need to, we talk to other runners, other people who are watching the stream. We'll watch a stream, and we'll make sure we get the entire story for ourselves. We contact the GM and explain to them what's up, why they're receiving a message from us, why it's a warning, and we tell them, we tell them alternate ways they could handle the situation. Like, hey, you could have really called for a knowledge check here, or you kind of ignored this thing that the player had, this quality that could have saved him, something like that. You ignored the drones he had up, etc., etc. Um, we try to make sure that this is like a clear cut, like, hey, this is an error. It's not like, I didn't know the rule at the time and I made a ruling on the spot based on what I thought was fair. Um, and that caused some undue grief because we try to make sure that, uh, we're being fair to you guys because obviously you're our GMs. um, and we want to make sure that you have a good time because you're our volunteers and we really appreciate you guys. But at the same time, we want to make sure that things are fair for players. Um, you know, so once that's all taken care of, the GM has been sent sent the issues that we've had. Um, we might give out uh, different kind of punishments. If it's just the first warning, and it's just the first warning on your single thing. Let's say you make like a simple error, like, oh, you've played all your Yakuza as Korean, um, which kind of simple thing, but we'll point out and say, hey, warning, the Yakuza are Japanese, the Yopa rings are Korean, um, because of this, they've had that schism for a while. Make sure not to portray them this way. On a first offense, it'll depend. We can give out a probation, which will be 1 to 3 runs, or a temporary ban of 2 to 7 days. I've never seen us use the ban. That's usually for less of a thematics error and more of a interpersonal issue. But if it happens again, um, we give out either a ban of 7 to 14 days or a revocation of GM privileges. It's not necessarily, in these cases, strictly lore. This usually is a more severe case where people having problems with other people. Um, like don't be terribly worried if you screw something up. And finally, a third offense was it's you're out, unfortunately. If it gets to that point. Obviously, there's some wiggle room. We've made other choices in the past, but this is our policy, and we're going to try to keep to the policy as much as we can. And that being said, we're not trying to be the fun police. If you see something happen in your run and you're like, I think I screwed this up, it is much easier for us to work with you. It is so much easier for us to work with you if you go, hey, this in this part, I think I might have screwed this up, because then we can go, all right, it's just we want to give you guys help, and part of the reason that Thematics Division exists is that we're here to help guide GMs when they run into trouble. Like, if you're in the middle of a run, ask us. If you need, like, do or die question, hit us up, because that's our responsibility. We're responsible for you guys. So we want to do as good a job as we possibly can. So it's so much easier for us as a division to if you give us heads up, like, hey, I'm going to do this or something like this, because we can let everyone know in TD and IPAR what's up. And, hey, we look at this when it comes in, it matches what you said, or, you've used it appropriately. Boom. It that's how we want it to work. We want you guys to be able to come to us and say, I'm not sure about this, or I think I made a mistake, because it's so much easier to like have you guys admit something, because we're all human beings. The Shadowrun core and supplemental rules are like over 1,000 pages. I have a shelf on my bookshelf that is dedicated just to Shadowrun lore. I've got every single core rule book for all the editions and all that kind of stuff. So it can be a giant pain in the ass. But yeah, we're here to help you handle that part of Shadowrun as best as we can. Okay, I think I've said enough about that. All right, my next point. All right, so Thematics division, we've kind of been changing a little bit over the past several months. So IPAR, if you guys don't know, they're the interview, prop, and after action report division. They're under us, as much as that, just in the hub structure. It's not like but they were created. I was originally part of IPAR, and through my work in IPAR, I was chosen to be a part of Thematics division. Lunicod also chosen to be part of TD in part because of his work in IPAR. That division, they're usually the people who are going to be either interviewing GMs, so that's pretty standard. I think all you guys know, or most of you guys who are recent GMs have been interviewed by me. They'll approve your props, and they will view your after action reports. And part of this is kind of a delegation, because there was a time within the past several months that a lot of the Thematics division was incredibly busy and tied down. But yeah, they're our first line of defense, so to speak, on the hub. And they've been really helpful, and they should be able to help you most of the time, if a Thematics division member isn't there. But beyond that, we're also working on resources for you guys. So we are working with upkeep and rules and the rules division in order to give you guys more resources. Part of that is the contacts update. This is a joint effort with especially rules division, upkeep, to get you guys access to a more flexible and a more usable system. Right now on Runnerhub, our contacts ruling is when you want a contact to do something, the GM decides if that contact can help you, and they give and you roll your either a connection test or a loyalty test, and the GM will give a specialty dice test if it's related. It's kind of it's kind of just arbitrary, the results of those kinds of tests, and we use that Mostly because it's a great way to standardize things. With the contacts overhaul, we're looking to move more towards a rules as written system. That's the direction we're going currently. I can't really give you guys too much information right now. Um, a lot of the contacts on the books though are gonna be, the official Runnerhub contacts are gonna be removed, most likely, in an Aslantean blood sacrifice. uh, GM contacts are not going to be touched. So if you're worried about, some of you've created and handed out, you decide what happens to them. Um, in the future, we're kind of more aiming towards GMs bringing up those NPCs, and using the wiki system to keep track of them. So when you do something to your contact, and people have it on their sheet, they can just go, boom, Wikipedia. I have all the things I need. I have a stat block. I have connection and loyalty changes, what they do, who they are, and that can be something that we kind of keep certain aspects of out of the way of players. I think, if you log into the wiki, you can see their background, um, all that kind of stuff. And as part of that contact overhaul, this is where a GMP change might come into play, in order to kind of encourage you guys to keep updating all that kind of stuff. Tez will be certainly overseeing that sacrifice. um, but yeah, right now the contacts roster is kind of an afterthought, I think, for most people. And this is one of the ways we're trying to make our resources more usable for the average player, B, more interactable, and C, we hope we're going to be able to give you guys incentive to play around with them. We're still doing work. There's still a lot of work being done. We're nowhere near an official, or at least by any means. Most anything I said can be changed, but this is I have a feeling that this is kind of the path we're currently taking. So, in addition with that, this current meta plot, Redmond Restoration Act, we are wrapping that up soon. And with that, we are going to be updating the wiki. And part of that update is going to be a summary of the current lore, because as time has gone on, we've kind of seen a trend from Catalyst to certain things that we don't necessarily want to care about. And also we've on the hub told stories that kind of separate ourselves from official canon. As a new GM, it's a pain in the ass to figure out what's new and what's not. For example, we had a whole entire meta plot during the kind of Scratcha not the Scratcha, the Orc Underground redistricting that led to the Scratcha becoming the police there. That's not canon as far as I'm aware. I've mentioned the mayor, there's this whole entire Red Restoration Act is flies in the face of canon severely, um, because right now they're doing the whole entire Taco Temple, Book of the Lost, tarot cards kind of deal. This wacky, highfalutin, high magic kind of meta plot, and this kind of and also is kind of brought down a little bit and back to earth with the meta corporate, the corporate whatchamacallit, the corporate audit, mega corporate audit. Um, so it's not all usable, especially not for the Runnerhub. So you know, we will go where we please, and we will tell the stories we want to tell. Um, we're gonna try to stick to as much as we can. Um, but what about unit upcoming fail? We're upcoming fall rather. We are most likely gonna merge that in. Um, and then contacts. Will we be able to get contacts outside of solo runs, or GMs giving them out? Yes. They're not all the hub contacts are going. We're changing them and how they interact with players as a whole. We're trying to be more. We're trying to provide context as more of a kind. The hub context is more of kind of a shadow network rather than just like random guys. So, we're gonna try to have them represented more as those kind of people who would have the resources and the proclivity to sell guns, medication, drugs, etc. to the shadows. So it's going to be a different dynamic, uh, and it's gonna we're playing with contact ratings, we're playing with loyalty ratings, we're playing with different systems. So it's not gonna 100% represent raw, but I think it's going to it's going to give players a better reason to buy contacts outside of we kind of have currently a lot of random powers that make certain contacts better than others. For example, Dogwagon Bros, they're seen as almost necessary for any character who's getting heavy cyberware or bioware, because of their preferred um, listing price. But stuff like that, we're trying to kind of figure out a better way to have them be unique while also having them rely less on bullshit powers. Because we've got like 50 something contacts, and there are some of them that are just like not chosen at all. We've got several masseuses, we've got a Voltron machine. um, you get a whole lot of contacts, and some of them are staying for sure. They're going to be tweaked. We're going to, as best as we can, refund players GMP as that is seen fit. Hopefully, that won't be too many contacts because just some of them are just like not in my opinion, and in the opinion of others, just like not worth it. So we've got a plan in place. It's not finalized by any means, but we're moving forward with that. And this is kind of what we're trying to do as Thematics are trying to evolve, because the hub has been around for about 4 years now. Thematics hasn't been here the whole entire time, and we're trying to better the hub each and every day. So, I am through with all the points I have. Um, I'll open this up to questions in Twitch chat. I will try to keep everything as informative as I can. But is there anything you guys want to know? Um, do you have feedback on the seminar format? Because this is kind of my dry run. I've never done this before, and I want to know what I could do better here. And if you guys want to PM me questions through Discord, if you don't want it in the chat, I 100% on board for that. Also, if you've got a better suggestion for kind of giving feedback, I want to know, because this is the best I've got right now. But it's not like a conversation. I'm just trying my best to answer anything. Also, if you have suggestions for seminars, we've got a couple of ideas right now. Right now, I'm writing up something about threat escalation, what's appropriate, what isn't appropriate. I know Lunacod is going through setting up a seminar for designing a facility hit. Niall is going to go through how to run gangers and how to make them appropriately threatening. Because we on the hub we've gone through at least 4 to 5 times the ganger population of Seattle. um, in canon, so we obviously that's kind of part of the living world and the amount of Shadowruns that get run, and that's fine. That's not what we're trying to address. We're trying to address how to make them more interesting. But if you guys have other topics, PM them. Do it now. Okay. So Thanatos asked he didn't ask. He suggested more time in advance. I did announce this over the Discord last week, but yeah, that's a good idea. I should give more warning. These will also be recorded, so they're gonna be up on the YouTube. So if people want to, rewatch this for whatever reason, you know, in the future, I think the topics will be a little bit more repeatable. How often should corps and other groups should use wired setups in what should be a wireless world? So, there's a little bit of difficulty in this one because there is no real understanding of what this costs and what goes into setting this up. In the lore, it kind of says that these wired setups are usually older. They predate the wireless world, or they're used in used in more secure facilities that are trying to avoid your standard decker just like screwing around with the cameras. So it's fun to kind of use them in older sites. So if like a gang or a syndicate has an older site in like maybe the Barrens, then yeah, that would totally fit in. For corporations, though, usually the cameras are wireless so that you can just have people wire themselves in and start, going around doing stuff. It helps them to monitor more things, um, and to send more images to more people. But you would want to do that if there is like a significant security risk. If they're handling matrix data, um, or if they're handling secure data that they don't want to have hacked in, if they're cameras that cover sensitive areas that could be used against the corporation, like a research lab, you would want to use a wired setup. Um, or if it's a particularly secure location or a black site location where you don't want to have a bunch of extra tags coming in, then yeah, you would want to use a wired setup to avoid that kind of deal. You could also use a stealth host, which is fun. um, but yeah, all right. So I'm gonna let this run for another 4 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna take this down. I think, unless we get into a whole bunch of questions. Sophistics asked, are we going to be able to create our own custom context post-jet? Um, we're still working on this. Um, Currently, you can, uh, because it just you require a solo run for it. I'm not sure if we're gonna allow that yet. I don't think we've gotten into that kind of area yet when it comes to contacts. What the bigger thing? One runner action effect things for one runner, like that public shooting effect, getting ammo for a time. Uh, I'm guessing this is a question about what kind of events can change um, rules temporarily. Yeah, getting a solo run can be hard for a new character. It's uh, we're working on it. We realize that that's kind of part of the system. That's kind of why qualities. One of the reasons why qualities became something you could buy, and something you could buy unlimitedly, because we realize that's part of it, of why it can be difficult to progress a character that way. Um, I'm not going to say anything about that now. I think we're sticking with solos for the moment. But to answer your question about what else affects runners, Usually it's kind of terrorist events like that. Um, when you work in this kind of environment where everyone is kind of their own supplier, and you can go around and basically just go to your local like ammo RS, and buy guns, buy all that kind of stuff, and have it run through your network to get it clean, scrubbed. No traces back to your SIN. Uh, it's can be more difficult to affect. Um, Usually, what impacts things like that is terrorism. A lot of the times, um, yeah. All right. Well, if I got nothing else, I want to say thank you all for joining me today. I hope this helped you guys out. Um, and yeah, thank you very much.